Shalom.
Okay, shalom. Good morning. Uh, to our welcome to our highest foundation of our faith class. And today is December 12, 2020, and our one of our maiden lessons. So we've been doing this for 3 weeks. Okay, today we're going to cover three subjects in more than 1.5 hour. Three subjects ang coverage nito. Number one is historical theology. Wait. Historical theology 101. That means this is related to hermeneutics na over time nagbabago yung ways of interpretation of scriptures. So one of our resources, you can write down our resources, www.toraresource.com. So yung book ni Rabbi Tim Hegg. Rabbi Tim Hegg is one of the most brilliant Messianic rabbi in the world today. So he has been to the Philippines twice, by the way. Twice na pumunta dito yan. At sa kanya ako nag-umpisa mag-aral 2006, since 2006. So this is our subject in hermeneutics. And so, as part of introduction to hermeneutics and historical theology, we cannot avoid the fact to learn about understanding our Hebrew roots, which is the name of our course. We're going to deal with Hebraic worldview or Hebraic perspective, Hebraic mindset, or sa Tagalog, yung Hebraic na pananaw versus yung Greco-Roman mindset, the way the West, or made popular by the Western people. So how do we, when it comes to the Bible, ano ang view natin? Do you read the Bible? Oh, I think this is what the meaning is. Ganun ba agad? No. Ang Bible po, although it was written in English, it comes to our first lesson, di ba, the Tanakh. You must see first from its original mindset, the Tanakh, the people who wrote the scriptures. So the 40 authors, just a review, 40 authors of the Bible are all Hebrews. So if they were Filipinos, I would say that we look at the Bible with the Filipino mindset. If they were Filipinos. But they were not Filipinos. They were what you call ancient Shemites. Can you spell Shemites?
Shemites.
Oh, it's even Shemitic origin. The ancient people, the Abrahamic people. By the way, just a review, the Hebraic worldview comes from Abraham. Abraham is the first Hebrew. Genesis 14:12. Abraham was called the first Hebrew. So this revelation, this Hebraic revelation, begins in the so-called Old Testament. Okay, principle. So, alam niyo na ibig sabihin ng Tanakh, di ba? Kasi some students kasi ongoing yung entry ng mga students. We have students na nag-join na sa Facebook from Mindanao, Cebu, iba't ibang lugar. So, siyempre, pag pumasok sila, fourth day na ng class, pag ano yung Tanakh, kakamot sa ulo, akala nila knock-knock. Ano yung knock-knock sinasabi ni Brother Light? Hindi knock-knock. Tanakh. Ay, ibig sabihin Tanakh? Tanakh is the original way to say the Hebrew Scriptures. Okay? Ito po yung Tanakh. This is the Tanakh. Ipakita natin sa camera. So, Tanakh. This is the Tanakh, what you call. It stands for the letter T. This is an acronym. Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, the writings of Moses. The Nevi'im, the minor and the major prophets, the writings, all the rest of the Old Testament scriptures. So the official name of these 39 books is Tanakh. Okay, so alam niyo na. So, but dahil familiar na talaga sa lahat ng Christian, Old Testament books. Okay, so when I say Old Testament books, it means the Tanakh. Okay? So when I say New Testament, it's the 27 books of the four Gospels and the epistles of Paul and the other Hebrew writers. And this is otherwise called in the Messianic circle the New Covenant Scriptures. Okay? Kasi Old Testament is Latinized. Latinized yan. So these are other terms. Old Covenant or New Covenant Scriptures. Since the word in Hebrew new can mean kadash. Kadash means to renew. The renewal of the covenant. You will learn this in your covenant lessons. Covenant lessons. Mga terms na to. So, some Messianic call this a renewed covenant because in the New Testament, the older covenant, by the way, when we go to our subject covenant, akala ng marami, there are two covenants lang, Old New Testament. Mali po, there are at least 7 biblical covenants. So this will be our lesson in the next, matagal pa to kasi mahaba itong hebraic mindset. So yun mga term, New Testament, New Covenant Scriptures, Renewed Covenant. And some teachers in the Hebraic will call this the apostolic writings. So, whatever I call it, at least alam nyo na, when I say apostolic writings, is the New Testament. But, para lang ma-accommodate yung mga Christians, our beloved Christians and brothers and sisters. Okay, New Testament. Kasi sanay ka sa New Testament eh. So, you get along with the terms along the way. So, principle for the worldview is our insight determines our sight. So, how do you worldview? Baliktarin mo na yung worldview. View the world. How do you view the world? So, if you go to the Middle East, they have a Middle Eastern worldview. If you go to America, they have the American worldview. So, if you go to Mindanao, what do you have? The Visayan worldview. So ibig sabihin, every person, meron tayong professor dito, si Professor Chris. Tama ba? Daming klaseng worldview, di ba? Okay. Pero, hindi yun ang major subject natin, yung other worldview. Actually, wala akong panahon doon. Kasi hindi yun ang minamaster ko. Gusto kong ma-master itong Hebrew Scriptures kasi dito ako may relasyon. Napakahalaga to sa aking relasyon sa Diyos. So, ito yung pinakamahalaga sa akin. So, kung gusto mag-aaral ng philosophy, doon kayo mag-enroll kay Chris. Pero kung Hebraic mindset, yun po yung ni-research ko for the last 15 years. Mahirap na subject ito eh. Pinasimple ko lang dahil sa tagal. Nangangapa ako rito eh. Since ilang years na eh. Pero dahil sa tagal, nag-gets ko na rin. So the Hebraic or Jewish. Okay? Pag sinabing Jewish, Hebraic, kasi Jewish is, ito yung tribe na preserve. Di ba? Sabi ni Abba Elohim kay David, ma-preserve ko yung lahi mo. So, ang Hudyo talaga, hindi siya lost tribe. Yung Jewish tribe is all the other tribes are lost or unidentified today. So, pag sinabing Jewish worldview, Hebraic worldview, pareho lang yan. I mean the same thing. So, the Hebraic Jewish worldview was shaped by God, by Elohim in Hebrew, through revelation through the Tanakh and the Torah. All other worldview are determined by either human tradition or satanic deception. Medyo brutal po ang pagkasulat. By the way, itong mga slides ko po ay pinaghalo-halo ko na yung mga magagandang mga teachings ng mga Bible school. And one of them is Professor Liebenberg, which is one of the most popular Hebrew roots teaching Bible school in the world today. And many other insights, no? Pero primarily sa kanya po. So, okay. So therefore, aside from the original biblical Jewish worldview, you have humanistic worldview. Okay? Humanistic worldview. So as long a person is human, may sariling worldview yan. Okay? Pag pumunta ka sa mga ita, we have a ministry sa ita, di ba? Mga ita may sarili ding worldview, may sarili din sa pananaw sa buhay. Makita mo yung mga ita, nakaupo lang sa bandang kanto, ganyan lang, nakaupo. Tabihan mo yun, Brad, kumusta ang buhay? Wala lang. Ba't hindi ka ba nagtatrabaho? Hinihintay mo na lang tumubo yung mga gabi ko. Pag-harvest na yan, may kakainin. So, yun lang worldview niya. Nagtanim siya, kaya siya naghihintay na lang tumubo. Diba? So, pero I realize, sabi ko, buti pa yung ita, may hinihintay na harvestin. Kaya magpa-farming na rin tayo. Okay, so, nag-gets na, no? So, tayo being, colonial mindset from the Americans in the early 1900s, in fact, in the Philippines, English is our second language, di ba? At this is our advantage, by the way. So, but, karamihan ng mga religions or denomination and sect, galing din sa Amerika. Pentecostal, Baptist, all of them started in America. So therefore, most Christians today in the Philippines, our view comes from Western worldview. Na-imitate lang natin sa kanila. So we're going to see the difference. Our Western worldview is a toxic mixture of both humanistic and largely been shaped by the Greco-Roman worldview. Okay, the Greco-Roman Empire was the empire that during the time of the first century, the first 100 years of what you call the Jesus Roots movement or the Messianic movement. So, in fact, most of the epistles of Paul were written to the Roman churches that he founded. So meron ng kasamang Greco-Roman influence. And by the way, the Greco-Roman Empire began with Alexander the Great 400 years before Christ. Alexander the Great was a great general, a military expert. And I remember that he said in one of his famous quotation that sabi niya, how do I conquer people permanently? Sabi niya, in the past, the military strategy was Babylonians, Assyrians. Ika-capture nila yung mga Israelites, di ba? Dati gagawin nilang slave sa Assyria, sa Babylonia. So magiging Babylonian sila, magiging Assyrian sila. Pero later on, hindi rin nagtatagal. Kasi bumabalik din sa pinanggalingan . Sabi ni Alexander the Great, okay, ang strategy niya is, we will teach them our worldview. Yung mga kinonquer nilang mga tao, mga territories, we will teach them the Greek worldview and the Greek language. Once we conquer them through the Greek language, we will conquer their worldview, and then eventually we will introduce our culture. Once they love our language and our culture, they're already now part of us. We have conquered them permanently. Diba? True ba yan? It's true. Ikaw, alam mo, example, may mga tradisyon sa Pilipinas na sinang-unang panahon na hanggang ngayon, binana pa natin sa mga Kastila. Kasi worldview nila na ipasa sa atin. So, ang worldview ng mga Greek, Western Greco-Roman worldview, have come from the thinking of the great philosophers like Aristotle and Plato. How do you say that? Plato o Plato? Kasi kung Plato, kulang na lang tinidor tsaka kutsara. Rather than Moses, the Hebrew prophets ay Yeshayahu and Yeshua and Apostle Shaul. See, so Hebraic worldview, you can write this down, dapat may note mo kayo. Hebraic worldview, picturean nyo na lang. Hebraic worldview comes from Moses, comes from the 5 books of the Torah, from the books of the prophets, comes from the writings of the Tanakh. And Yeshua and Paul, the most influential people in the world. Rather than Plato. Okay, I think Professor Albi has done a teaching on this, the Greco roots of Christianity. Professor Alvin did this like 5 years ago. Si Alvin. So this is known, the system of thoughts, which is very, very popular, is known as Platonic dualism. So what is Platonic dualism? This Platonic dualism gave rise to other distorted views like Gnosticism, which Paul talks about in the New Testament epistle, mysticism, monasticism, etc., that infiltrated the early church and remains up to this day. So now let's look at some examples of this Platonic dualism. Okay, so Platonic dualism equals to Greek perspective. Okay, so Plato would ask, what constitutes reality? Plato asks, the conflict between what could be seen and what is invisible. So, sabi ni Plato is, there are two realities. The material world and the spiritual world. So para kay Plato, there are two distinct reality. Magkahiwalay ito. Ang mundong nakikita natin sa pamagitan ng ating 5 senses, which is the length, the width, and the depth, and the height. Seen by our ears and eyes and feels and touch. These are the material aspect of this world. The literal things. And Plato observed that the reality is there is a spiritual world, which is the spiritual reality, the immaterial world, which is outside the dimension of the physical reality. So when it comes to spirituality, ang Greek perspective is the separation of the spirituality and the material and the immaterial. Okay. Sa Hebraic worldview, let's see sino yung nasa realidad. Man was made of an immaterial part, soul or spirit, and a material part, the body. But man is one whole. Thus, material and immaterial are equal importance. One is not to be devalued in favor of the other. Okay, this is the difference. This is the wisdom. Sa truth, truth, whether biblical or not, in the Greek perspective, it's either or. Sa Greek, either or. Sa Hebrew thought, it could be both. Ibig sabihin, holistic ang nakita mo yung tingnan mo yung yung diagram. Yung diagram. Yung Greek to, hindi mo pwede, ang hebraic, okay, ang tawag nito sa philosophy sa Greek hebraic, black logic. Sabihin, isang katotohanan nandito, isang bersikulo dito. Let's say, okay, Garden of Eden, or light and darkness. Nandyan lang yan sa loob lahat. Spiritual world. Yung Greek, so lahat ng katotohanan nandun lang sa kabuuan. Hanapin mo lang. Hindi yun magkahiwalay. Okay? Cyclical ang tawag nito. Cyclical mindset. Hanapin mo lang. Sa Greek, what you call the linear, tuloy-tuloy, progressive. Progressive siya, nag-i-improve. Ang final conclusion ng Greek is the newest, the latest. Diba? Ang Hebraic, bumabalik sa original. Okay? So, para lalo nating maintindihan, ibig sabihin, instead of trying to fit the Bible into a pre-arranged pattern, we must try to discover the patterns that are already in the Bible, We must allow the Bible's own structure to arise from the text itself, to impose itself upon our own understanding. So, rule number 1 in hermeneutics, do not assume your own opinion in the Bible. Diba? Humanistic Greek. You try. I think this is what it means. Okay. If we go deeper into hermeneutics, meron niyang word study. Hey, what's the meaning in Hebrew? How was the word used in the original? What is the culture behind? Okay? Kasi we're reading a Hebraic book when it comes to the Bible. This is not an English book. By the way, there are only 8,000 words in the Hebrew Bible. In the English dictionary, you have 144,000 more or less words. Kasi there's so many variances. So, Hebrew, konti yung salita, pero malaman. In fact, in Hebrew, one word can mean 3 things. Like the most common way, shalom, di ba? So, shalom. Shalom, it means peace, healing, wholeness, joy, blessing. Dami meaning. So, the idea is the difference between the Hebrew model and the Greek model of thinking. The Greek model attempts to avoid tension. Okay, take note of that. Kasi mga kapatid, once we go on studying our discourse, there's so many tensions in the Bible. There's so many seemingly passages that are opposed to one another and seeming like contradicting one another. But they're there. Nandun siya sa mga talata. So, take note, the Greek avoids tension. Okay? So, halimbawa, the law and grace. This is the very common way. Oh, it cannot be both. Kung grace ka lang, grace ka lang. Kung law ka lang, law ka lang. You cannot be both. Diba? Bakit ganun na mag-isip ang mga theologians? Because they have the Greek mindset. They avoid disagreement. So from now on, we need to have this Hebraic mindset, which is the paradoxical mindset. In contrast, the Hebrew thinking recognize the absolute necessity of tension. In the same way, a rope tying a bundle is useful only when the rope is tight. There's tension. So truth exists in the realm of tensions. Example, when we go to the study of the divinity of Yeshua, how can he be God and how can he be man at the same time? No one has ever explained that. Kahit anong explain mo yan, the only way to understand this is God can be both. God can use himself he can manifest himself as a human at the same time God. In fact, he can manifest himself in many different ways at the same time. In fact, the first manifestation that God was using a human vessel was in the story of Abraham when the angels were visiting Sarah on the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Did you know that? On the Feast of Unleavened Bread, binisita ni Yahweh Elohim si Sarah, si Adam, at pinakain siya ng unleavened bread. Bakit? It was a feast. There was a heavenly visitation. And one of the angels was addressing himself as Yod He Vav. So there you are, in the Older Testament pa, nagpahiwatig na si Yod He Vav that he could use a human vessel to represent himself. In fact, there are many ways Yod He Vav express himself in the Torah, like the angel of the Lord. The angel of the Lord will guide you. Sino yung angel of the Lord? Siya din yun the angel of Yahweh. Pero may ginagamit siya mga manifestation. So, pag ikaw ay Greek mindset, para may hilo ka, paano kaya yun? Paano niya pinoses yung angel? Hindi mo na problema yun. Kasi hindi ka Diyos. Basta sinabi ron, may ginamit siya. So, masanay ka na sa hebraic mindset full of tensions. Mga kapatid, may revelation ako. Sino may asama yung mga asawa dito? Yes. Di ba may tension tayo palagi sa mga misis natin? Mula ngayon, masanay ka na sa hebraic mindset. Araw-araw may tension yan. May sasabihin ka, kontrahin niya agad. Wala pang isang segundo, kinontra agad Hindi ganyan yan. Nagmukha kang bobo tuloy. Pero actually, pag may hebraic mindset yon, hindi mo naman kalaban siya Ganun talaga ang niya lang. Ganun lang talaga ang nature ng babae. Parang opposite sa'yo, pero complementary yun. If you learn to have kaya minsan ako, nahihilo na ako sa asawa ko kasi palaging kumukontra to. Bisyo niya yata talaga kumontra sa akin Pero pag may hebraic mindset ka, masanay ka na. Tension lang yun. Nagets niyo po? Sa Bible, maraming ganun. Tension. Hindi yun masama. Normal yun. Sabi nga dito ng author, it's tungkol sa tension. A rope is tying a bundle is useful only when the rope is tight. So truth exists in the realm of tension. Habang may tension sa Bible, habang tinatali mo ng malakas, lalong tumitibay. Hebraic mindset. Si Dr. Marvin Nelson, explain niya sa one of his seminars, sabi niya, there are many dangling ropes in the Bible. Para bang incomplete explanation. Di ba? When you study the Torah, mga kapatid, I realize the rabbinical idiom that says, 2 Jew, 3 opinion. Okay? Kasi, there are many things in the Torah, in the mitzvot, unexplained. Walang explanation. Basta sinabi lang ng Diyos, this is the commandment that I gave to you. Wala nang paliwanag. Sino yung Anong ibig sabihin ng commandment? So ang rabbi would say, I think God is saying, my opinion is this. Another rabbi say, I think no, it's like this. Kaya nga, this book, saan na yung libro dito? The 613 Commandments. Okay. Itong 613 Commandments, the book, okay. One commandment, three explanations. Different explanation. So, what I'm saying is, ganon ang hebraic. You must recognize those seemingly contradictions. The point is, that's to sharpen your mind. Sharpen, para maging matalino ka. Kaya pala mga Hudyo, likas ng matalino. Okay? So much to that, in the Greek model, truth exists in points along the same line. One truth inevitably leads to the next truth, which you call the step logic. The Hebrew, on the other hand, was able to hold truth in what might be called the box logic. One box of truth may not necessarily lead to every other box. In fact, one box might contain the way men thinks about the world, while another box may contain God's perspective on the world. Ang ibig sabihin ng author, si Rabbi Timeg, ang katotohanan sa Hebrew, kailangan sumasang-ayon lahat, nakalinya, hanggat sa maratang nila yung destinasyon. Ang hebraic, magulo. Parang hindi siya kailangan maglinya. Kahit ibang direksyon siya. Pero take note mo lang yung, halimbawa, when you study eschatology, di ba? Eschatology, in one of our subjects dito, when we study Midrashic eschatology or Jewish eschatology, the most fundamental principle that we use is the identifying the patterns, biblical patterns. Hindi ka gagawa ng sarili mong pattern. May mga pattern na nandun na sa scriptures, subaybayan mo na lang. Okay? Pag nasubaybayan mo lang, parang equation, parang ito yung formula. Umiikot lang. Pero, iba-iba siyang setting. For example, when you use the pattern of one of the, in the Genesis, you call the Garden of Eden pattern. Okay? The Garden of Eden symbolizes the perfect relationship between God and man. Okay? At nandun yung tree of life that symbolizes the Torah. Okay? So what was the nature of the Garden of Eden? It was there that God said, you multiply and I will bless you. And God blessed them. Go forth and multiply. Bring my dominion, bring my Torah, bring my kingdom to all the world, bring my image, bear my image to all humanity, bear fruits. Okay? So, pag tinignan mo yung Book of Revelation, yung pinakahuling chapter ng Book of Revelation, silipin mo yung pagkasilip mo sa Book of Revelation, nandun yung Garden of Eden. Di ba? Yung Garden of Eden. Ano yan? Palit? Okay. Nandun sa Book of Revelation, yung Tree of Life. So naulit lang. Hello. Okay. Ngayon, when I downloaded a book by, Christian Reconstructionists. By the way, yung movement na sinasabi ko ngayon is the Hebraic Roots movement, di ba? Pero prior to this movement, in the early 70s and 80s, meron na nag-exist na Reconstructionist Christian movement. and the theonomy movement, which we will discuss later, yung historical theology, the 5 views of the law. So, sabi niya, when you look at the Garden of Eden, it was repeated in the sa Goshen. Goshen daw, the Goshen is the most fertile land in Egypt. And this is where God prospered the Israelites, and they were multiplying and multiplying, di ba? So sabi niya, so Goshen was the remaking of the Garden of Eden. Then you have, meron siyang pattern na the Garden of Eden in the wilderness when the Torah was given. And now you have the Garden of Eden in the book of Revelation. So ibig sabihin, sa Hebraic mindset, yun ang hinahanap natin. Those are the things that we are looking for. So they are not literally linear. Hindi siya linear. Nandun siya sa Genesis, nandun siya sa book of Ezekiel, nandun siya sa book of Exodus, nandun siya sa book na ganito. Hindi siya one straight line. Nandun lang siya sa. So ito, linear logic, ang tawag nito linear. Ito, step logic or block logic. Mga bloke ng katotohanan na nandyan lang. Yun lang ang hinahanap natin. So parang ganito. Parang ganito. So ito yung Hebrew, no? Ito siya. So, ito yung katotohanan. So, nandito isang katotohanan. Nandito isang truth. So, if you want to find out, tatali mo ngayon ito. Ito nakita ko dito sa Genesis. Ito nakita ko sa Prophet Ezekiel. Nakita ko sa Revelation. Nakita ko sa New Testament. Itatali po ngayon. May tension na siya ngayon. Lalo siyang tumibay, kumbaga. So, ngayon, yun ang Hebraic mindset. Yun na yung nabuo mo na yung katotohanan. Okay? Especially when we talk about the commandments in the Torah. We will go that later, the 5 views of the law. Kung aabot tayo, kung tayo abot, itutuloy ko kababa. So we have lots of examples on that. So here are some examples of what the Greek model would call contradictions, but the Hebrew model, the perspective, accepts as a necessary tension. Okay. So Pharaoh hardened his heart. Pero pinatigas niya yung puso niya. Tapos mamaya-maya sinabi, it's Adonai who intentionally caused Pharaoh to harden his own heart. So may tension. Kaya nga, in most Christian circle, you have mga philosophical debates. Ano ba yung pinaka-debates? Are you predestination or predestinating to be saved or mga ganon, yung mga are you elect or may free will ka ba? Mga purong ganon. Para bang, pwede ka ba may sariling will tapos predestined ka pa? Dapat free will lang. Focus lang tayo doon. Sa Hebrew mga kapatid, pareho yun. Di ba sa Hebraic, both and end. Sa Greek, no, mamili ka lang. Mamili ka lang ng isa. Kasi parang nagko-kontra, hindi pwede. Okay? So God is the God of wrath. God is a merciful God. God is the Lamb of God, maamong tupa, and the Lion of Judah, the warrior God. Whoever comes, I will receive. Kahit sino lumapit sa Kanya, but only those I draw near. So, parang magkasalungat, ano? Hebraic, sanay ng Hebraic sa ganun. Life comes only through death. So how can life comes through death? When you are weak, then you are strong. The one who serves is the greatest of all. Ayaw ko, Mark, ng ventilator. Lalo akong matutuyuan ng pawis. The way up is to go down. God controls all things. Alam na ng Diyos lahat ng bagay, ano mangyari sa iyo, bilang God who all-knowing, omnipresent, omnipower. Alam niya na ang punot dulo ng lahat. Sabi niya, He declared the end from the beginning. And yet, your prayer changes things. In fact, pag nagpa-fasting and prayer ka, nagbabago ang iyong landas. Pero, sa sarili mo, alam na ng Diyos ang landas mo. Mga seemingly, God control all things and man is responsible for our deeds. So para bang, if God is in control, bakit ina-allow niya ang sinful world? Bakit ina-allow niya injustices? God, sabi niya, the Holy God, sabi niya, Hebrews, without holiness, no one shall see the Lord. And yet, Moses saw God. There are people who saw God. So, parang ganito, God is in heaven, at the same time, nandun siya kay Yeshua talking to people nakaapak sa lupa. The Greek, they have a hard time understanding it. They need to separate. Sineparate nila, hindi pwede ito magkasabay. Kung earthly lang, by the way, ang foundation ng Greek ay what you call idolatry. The Greeks doesn't worship the God of Israel. They derive their own concept, by the way. Kaya, sa umpisa pa lang, sa Greek, what you call, ang Diyos sa Greek is the Logos. Ang Diyos sa Greek, hindi si Yahweh Elohim, hindi sinabi ni Yahweh Elohim sa Torah, hindi yan, sa Bible, hindi yan. Ang Diyos sa Greek yung wisdom niya sarili. No, matalino ka. In fact, you were born with that wisdom, with the potential. Enhance mo yung wisdom to improve the world, to improve yourself. Well, part of that, the job of a human being is to improve himself. But without the Word of God, wala kang guide. So, itong mga Greek philosophers, gumawa ng sarili nilang bersyon ng pananaw, worldview. At you will see later how this influenced the church in the first century. Na hanggang ngayon, patay na si Plato, buhay pa ang kanyang teachings. Sa Katoliko lalo na. Para maging holy ka, kailangan nasa kumbento ka. Para maging holy ka, dapat hindi ka mag-aasawa. Kasi hindi ka pwede maging earthly at the same time spiritual. Hindi nagsasabay yung spiritual tsaka di ba? In fact, in Hebrew, you called marriage, okay, sa mga gustong mag-asawa. In fact, in Hebrew, the word marriage is kedoshim. To be set apart for each other. To be holy to each other. Okay? Okay, we'll go to lahat tama dito, mature na tayo, no? Rated PG is sex in Hebrew is holy. If you are in contract with one another. By the way, when it comes to marriage in Hebrew, there are different kinds of marriage in Hebrew, which is not our subject for today. May class 1, class B, class C. So, God cannot be controlled, and yet God is affected by people. Have you ever prayed something like, when God changed the situation, in-answer yung prayer mo? Yung imposible. Di ba? Yes. God is sovereign and yet, nakikinig siya sa mga tao. Di ba? In fact, sinabi ni Joshua, how do we win the battle? Pwede bang hintuin mo yung araw sa isang idlap lang? Kung tutusin, bawal baguhin ng Diyos ang sistema ng natural law of the universe. Pero, ginawa ng Diyos. Kaya nga daw may leap year. Hindi ako expert sa calendar. You ask Joseph Dumont pagdating sa calendar. So in Hebraic mindset, there is no division between secular and sacred. The Jewish perspective, God is involved in every part of their life, no matter how common we may categorize it. Every circumstances is from God, both the good times and the bad times. That's why the Jew was prepared a prayer of blessing for everything and everything give thanks. In the same way, all local work is holy. As a result, this way of looking at life, the Hebrew possessed a truly biblical humanism. Life is sacred, man is noble, of great value to God and to each other. God has given all things to enjoy, to rejoice before Him. The material world and the immaterial world are equally good and for tonight. So, what it means is, in fact, it's there in the Bible, I think 6 times or 7 times sinabi yung salitang good. Like 6 times. 6 times. When God created the material world, the literal the earth and everything, He said, it was good, it was good, it was good, it was good. Hindi niya sinabi, pag ginawa niya yung tao, let us make man in our image. Okay, this is Torah lesson, by the way. When God made the vegetables and all the trees and all the agricultural things in this world, kinausap niya yung soil. Sabi niya, soil, produce. Ginawa niya yung mga ibon, sabi niya, air, produce. Environment, ino niya yung environment. Nung nilikha niya yung mga hayop sa dagat, kinausap niya yung tubig, let the waters bring forth. But when it comes to the creation of human being, sinong kinausap ng Panginoon? Anong environment ang kausap niya? Himself. Sabi niya, let us make men. Ibig sabihin, doon pa lang makita mga kapatid, it is very natural to be godly. To think about God every day and His Word, and it's natural. Pero sa Greek, no? Kailangan maging pari ka muna para maging spiritual. A natural Jew or a Hebrew can be very, very Torah observant kahit siya ay farmer, carpenter, tiller of the ground, attorney, lawyer. His job is a holy mission to the world. The point is, sa Hebraic mindset, everything relates to God. There's no division between the sacred and the holy. You will see that all commandments in the Torah, in the theocratical government, all commandments are religious at the same time, theocratical. Kaya nga po, we will go to that later. Kaya nga dito pa lang parang may hangin na. Kaya ang ibig sabihin ito, puro mga kaya nga Hebraic mindset eh. Yung mga katotohanan, is i-memoryin mo lang yan. Mamaya pag nag-explain na ako ng mga commandments, madadagdagan niya. Mga bloke ng katotohanan. Nabubuo mo na ang Hebraic na katotohanan. So it will take a lot of time. Kaya nga, kahit anong research mo, nadadagdagan lang na nadadagdagan yung kaalaman. So, but the most The difference between the two is is big. Di ba? So, sa Katoliko, kailangan maging pare ka kung gusto mo maging super spiritual. Pag pare ka, nasa simbahan ka lang, nasa kumbento ka lang, at hindi ka mag-aasawa. Ha? Kasi masama ang sex. Sex is bad. Mga kapatid, total, tayo may mga mature dito. Mga Pilipinos kasi we don't talk about sex openly, di ba? Kasi we are very shy people. But you cannot avoid this. This is a reality. When God said that He made man according to His image, that includes the sex drive. So sex, when you use in context of marriage to bear godly children, it's not evil. It's very good. In fact, to have children is one of the joys that you can ever experience in this world. Di ba? Sino dito may anak? Di ba napakasarap yung may anak?
Amen. Yes. Puyat.
Ha? Kahit napupuyat ka sa pagtimpla ng gatas. So hindi evil yun. Pero I found out, mga kapatid, the reason why the Catholic Church wanted people to become celibate, especially the priest, because if the priests have many children, the wealth of the church will be transferred to them. Maghihingi sila ng inheritance eh. Yung tatay ko pare, 6 kami. Yung ari-arian, ibigay sa para makontrol ng Catholic yung ari-arian. Kunwari, bawal ang mag-asawa, pero the real reason is para masolo nila yung mga ari-arian. Walang mag-inherit. In fact, kabaliktaran, kung pare ka, i-donate mo pa ang sarili mong ari-arian sa simbahan. You know, religion is about control. It's about control. The Hebrews have their way of life, which is what we are studying, the way of life of the hebraic people. So, again, ibig sabihin, you can be spiritual at the same time. Halimbawa ako, a teacher, a rabbi. By the way, alisin nyo na yung mentality, marami kasi hindi nakaintindi. Kasi some pastor call me rabbi. Sabi ni Jesus, do not call anybody rabbi.
Yes.
Naguguluhan sila. Sabi ni Jesus, huwag ka nang tumawag rabbi. So wala na sanang rabbi sa Israel.
Yes.
Kasi bawal tumawag. Rabbi simply means teacher. Ang ibig sabihin ni Yeshua noon, wala kayong ibang rabbi, ako lang, huwag nyo nang isipin yung mga Pharisee. Yun ang ibig sabihin, ganun kasimple. Ako ang inyong rabbi. Huwag niyong gawing rabbi yung mga Pariseo na yun. Ako lang ang inyong rabbi. So ako, mas komportable ako pag tinatawag ako na rabbi. Kasi that's the difference between me and other pastors. Or, actually, Rab lang, Rab. R-A-B-A. Rabbi. Or Rabbi. Wala nang rabbis, ha? Rabbi lang, Rabbi. Rabbi means little rabbi. Gusto ko yun. Kasi, kaya nga, I would joke sometimes, sabi ko, what's the difference between a pastor and a rabbi? You can spot the difference immediately. Ha? May bigote, rabbi. Pag malinis, pastor. Hindi. Mayroon din may bigote ng pastor. Sa amin kasi noon, bawal ang bigote. Wala raw kabanalan. Wala daw kabanalan. Actually, mga kapatid, if you are very honest with the scriptures, si Jesus na lang, si Yeshua na lang, si Rabbi Yeshua. Sabi mo, and Rabbi Yeshua sits down and started to teach. So that's the difference. A rabbi would sit down and teach. a pastor would stand up and preach and shout. Kailangan mga kapatid, magbago kayong lahat. Yun ang pastor. Preaching ang tawag doon. Pero rabbi, panay mga impormasyon. Parang random access memory, parang dami siyang stock knowledge. So, ang advantage is mas maraming nalalaman yung rabbi. Ang pastor, kahit isang bersikulo lang, paulit-ulit, pwede. Meron akong kaibigan sa bukid noon, si Pastor Bernard Paundag. Mukhang ilang bersikulo ang alam eh. Kasi ang ministry niya, magpa-film showing sa mga tribo. Pag nag-film showing na siya, nakaka-relate na yung mga tribo. Patatanggapin niya sa Panginoon. Yun. O convert na yung mga, tapos aalis naman siya, i-endorse niya sa church. Pupunta lang sa ibang tribo, magpa-film showing. Hindi niya kailangan maraming alam, di ba? Pero dinidisciple ko na siya ngayon. Isa yun sa mga sinusuportahan ko, pastor sa Mindanao. Nagsasyabat na rin siya ngayon. Lahat ng kabundukan pinapasok niya ng Ebanghelyo. Pero, na-realize niya, sabi niya, kulang. Nung nakilala niya ako, okay na. So, anyway, ibig sabihin, sacred and holy, secular and sacred, sa dualistic mindset ng Greek, ay hindi ka pwedeng maging pare at the same time a businessman. Kailangan, kung gusto mong pare, simbahan ka lang. Hindi ka pwede maging professional sa ibang bahagi. Mga kapatid, hindi ganun ang mentality ng mga Hebrew. Jesus was a carpenter. He was a rabbi. He was a part-time mason. Bakit? He was like his human father, si adopted father, si Joseph. Diba? Kasi sa Hebrew culture, the skill of the father will transfer to the child at an early age. Hindi mo na, kasi yung iba, kung ano yung abilidad ng ama, binibigay na sa anak, sa bata pala. Ganun ang hebraic culture. Sa Greek, hindi. Kailangan mag-aral ka muna ng elementary, high school, college. Pag-graduate mo na, tsaka ka lang matuto magtrabaho. Ang tagal. Ilang subjects sa school nagamit mo sa trabaho? Nagamit mo ba yung geometry? Trigonometry? Algebra? O anong silbi nun? Academics. Academics. You're actually, for the sake of, para tawagin ka lang, educated. Diba? Sa Hebrew po, practical people. Practical. Be an expert in one thing. So, ganun ang Hebrew. So, therefore, walang problema sa Hebrew na, diba, dualistic Plato, hindi pwede magkabuo yung ano. So, in short, in Hebraic, everything relates to God. Ibig sabihin, kahit businessman ka, when you do proper business ethics, you are serving God in your business marketplace. That's a holy thing. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo na kailangan maging rabbi para maging lingkod ng Diyos. Pwede ka maging negosyante, skilled worker, pero you are a holy person. Bakit? You are doing your business properly. You are a holy person. You are holy. Especially, nag-Shabbat ka, lalo pa. Lalo pa. See? So, ibig sabihin, hindi ka holy na sa oras lang ng pagsamba. In fact, ang holiness ay yung wala ka sa pag-araw sa church. Yung everyday life mo, holy yun before God. Di ba sa church parang holy, lalo na sa alam mo kami ng tatay ko, outstanding Catholic kami. Alam mo, kami ng tatay ko, outstanding Catholic. You know what it means? Nandun kami sa likod, nakatayo sa church, standing. Nagyoyosi pa yung tatay ko. Tagal ng nanay mo. Ganun pa yun sa likod ng simpa. Bukoy yung tatay ko eh. Pag nakita niyo yung bagay, alam naman lahat yan. Yung tatay ko, accountant. Pero gambling lord dun sa amin. Ginamit niya sa masama yung abilidad niya. Pero nagbagong buhay na po siya. Kasi naging pastor na ako. Gusto niya na maging pastor. Ganun. So, ibig sabihin mga kapatid, everything you do is holy. Even sex is holy. It's not dirty. It's holy before God. Kaya mga madre, binabalot yung katawan kasi holy daw yun. Di ba? Ha? Sino yung unang Katoliko sa Biblia? Sino yung unang Katoliko? Ha? Si Joshua, son of Nun?
Si Father ako. Father.
Okay.
Nagkasala yung anak.
Religion was not a system of ethics, a code of conduct, or simply a collection of lofty ideas. Religion for the Hebrews was the sum of his earthly journey. This is why he spoke of his walk with Elohim. This life with God involved every place he set his feet upon the ground. The Hebrew would thus talk of the way of the wicked and the path of the righteousness. In the same way, Yeshua does not often ask of people of his day what they believe. He was more concerned about their works, what they do. So true religion is not what you think, but one does. So Hebrew people are relational people. They're not interested in spiritual debates. They're interested in obeying God. Kaya mga kapatid, debates does not lead to obedience most of the time. Kaya nga, in the first place, dami naghamon sa akin ng debate. Sabi ko, debate? Hindi ako concerned sa debate. What I want is, I want to have a solid relationship with God. So, much to that, marami tayong example doon. Okay, how about time? Iba rin ang mindset ng itong part na to, covenant relationship, covenant mindset. So, sa Hebraic mindset, sa Greek mindset is individualistic. Sulat niya yan. Individual. Or they call this, in philosophy, rugged individualism. Palaging nakapokus sa sarili. Yung sarili kong buhay, yung sarili kong reliyon, kaligtasan, yung pananaw ko, palaging gano'n. Sa Hebraic, mga kapatid, it's more of a community. Community. Halimbawa, salvation. Ito, subtopic, salvation. Di ba, salvation is individual. Tama? You have to accept Jesus, Yeshua, as your personal Lord and Savior. So, kung sino dito hindi nyo pa tinanggap si Yeshua as Lord and Savior, huwag nyo nang patagalin. Right after this class, I will ask you to raise your hands and accept the Lord for the 10th time. So, naturally, salvation is individual, di ba? Focus sa ako to, sarili ko to. But actually, if you look at the Exodus, salvation is national. See the difference? When God sees salvation of Israel, it's not one person exiting Egypt. It's the whole nation being saved from Egypt. And lumubog sa Red Sea at tumawid, nagpabautismo. Say, 600 men, women, and children. Sabi, estimate to be 2 million people. Kaya, sabi ni Paul, when the fullness of the Gentiles come, all Israel will be saved in the end. And when they look upon the one who they have fears in the second coming of Messiah, all of them will cry out as if they cry out for the mourn for their only son, and Israel is saved. So, pagdating sa salvation, sa Israel is, what? National, corporate, hindi siya individual lang. So, ibig sabihin, communal. Hindi ko pwedeng iligtas lang ang sarili ko. I have to bring more people to be, di ba, nakita mo, corporate efforts. Hindi si Brother Ike, ang bida, si ganito, hindi po, ganito. All of us are part of the plan. All of us together are the strength of the whole community. I could be the leader, the head, pero kung mag-isa lang ako, anong silbi ng leader kung isa ka lang? Di ba? So it must be, di ba, sabi doon, in hebraic mindset, everything is interrelated. That's why most of the commandments deals with treating other people fairly and just, loving your neighbor as your. So it's not about you. It's about how you love God and love others, how you treat others. Right? It's always about God wants to have you peace with Him and peace with other people, di ba? So hindi siya. So kaya ako diniscuss ko mga kapatid kasi sa Greek mindset, sa dualistic, platonistic, hiniwalay nila yung reliyon. Kaya, Gnosticism, yung mga monks, di ba? Yung mga nag-ano na lang, nagmumongha, nagsasarili. Wala na yung sa reality, mga kapatid. So, welcome to reality. So, you want no, in fact, okay, this is, hindi ko to sinulat. I will write it down. Anong Hebrew word for word? Anong Hebrew word for word? Dabar. Dabar is the Hebrew word for word. Can you say dabar? Dabar. Dabar means dalet bat bet resh. The word of God. It means the word spoken that comes from the mouth of God that becomes the reality. The matter and the thing. So whatever God says in the original, that's reality. So you want to be in reality? Study Hebraic perspective. Okay. The reality is, there's so many realities. Di ba? Reality number 1. God created male and female. Reality yan, di ba? In fact, the book of psychology says there is a natural attraction between a male and a female. Sino dito may boyfriend, girlfriend? Di ba natural? It's natural. Natural yan. Yung mag-aasawa, it's natural. It's natural. Pag binibiro ko ngayong anak ko, anak, pag edad mong 17, paasawahin na kita. Sa ita. Para wala kang gastos. Kung nasa bundok. Hindi kasi isa lang siya, kaya maanak na. Huwag mo nang patagalin. 51 na ako, pag edad ni Moses 17, hindi ano na ako. 58. Parang si Al na ako. Mga ganun-ganun.
Pero ang mga hindi ka pala yung Dahil ang mga ita may dowry. May dowry.
Dowry. Mag-alaga ako ng tupa. Para may pang-dowry na yung anak ko. Excited na lang yan. Mapunta na kalimutan ko tuloy na sinasabi. Okay, hebraic worldview. Interrelate each one with a wider worldview. It's almost impossible to discuss one apart from the other. Example, like I gave this already class 2 weeks ago. It's impossible to understand the Bible without acknowledging Israel. But our class last time, 2,000 times, 2,505 times, the word Israel is mentioned. Take note of that, that's according to the King James Concordance. 2,505 times the word Israel is mentioned. More than the word church, 115 times. More than the word love, 100 plus times. But not more than the word God and Yahweh Elohim, which is 6,900 times. So you can see, by the law of emphasis pala, ang emphasis ng Bible, hindi ang church, but Israel. So therefore, in a Hebraic Jewish mindset, you cannot understand the Bible without understanding God's plan for Israel. And when we go to our topic, the 5 views of the law, especially the dispensational view, where Israel is distinct from the church, parang ang church, Gentile, hiwalay sa Israel. Gentile can never be Israel. Israel can never be Gentile. Kaya mauna ma-rapture ang Gentile, maiwan ng Israel at papatayin sa tribulation. Ang galing ng dispensational worldview, which is napakarami nilang problema sa theology nila. So mga kapatid, if you want reality, study Hebraic mindset. If you want to study the truth, study the Hebraic mindset. This is why I'm studying. This is the reason why I'm passionate about studying the Torah, the mitzvot. Nandiyan yung reality. I discovered something lately, Brother Alvin, in my research. There is what you call a group in America. They are not Hebrew roots. They are called the Christian Reconstructionists and Christian Theonomy. Theonomy means law, theo God. Biblical, the biblical law of God. Ibig sabihin, their movement is to change society with the biblical law. Kalaban nila yung mga modern Christians. Si Bishop Butch Bellica is influenced by this movement. That's why Bishop Bellica today adheres to the Torah. Kasi yun ang kanyang movement noon. Pero hindi sila Hebraic. And when I dig down their mga books and reference, which I will show later on, parang ang gaganda. In-explain nila yung mga mitzvot, ng ancient mitzvot, how they can solve the problems of society today. And there's even a university in Texas which is called the Christian School of Economics. They go deeper into the law of God and studying the implication of these laws to the society, contrary to the humanistic law na yun. Parang pinipresent doon, sino ba ang may wisdom? In the end, sino ba ang magsosolve sa problema? Yung mga tao sa mundo na may sariling philosophy, na may sariling batas? O ang Diyos na nagbigay ng batas noon pa? Sino kaya makasolve sa problema sa mundo? So, example, sa dami-dami ng Christian sa Kongreso, walang kumontra sa LGBT law. Kung nakita nila sa Bible na masama yun, walang kumontra. Zero. Pinasa ang LGBT 2019. Walang tumutol. Nalagyan yata lahat. Di ba? Kung hindi pa nag-rally si Eddie Villanueva sa Senate, which is, nandun ako nung time na yon, hindi pa sana na motivate yung mga senador na take a second look. Ma-approve na sana sa Senate. Nakita mo? Nakita niyo po? My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. That's why God is angry with America today because of the importance given to this LGBT law. Okay. Now we go to the next subtopic. The experience of truth versus the exposition of truth. What is truth? Alam niyo ba yung salitang truth sa Hebrew?
The word truth in Hebrew is emet.
It's Aleph, Mem, Tav. The beginning of the alphabet, the middle, and the top. So, basically, the meaning of truth, hello. Truth in Hebrew is actually the whole thing. You want truth? You need to do the whole thing. It's not a part of, but the Aleph, the beginning, the Mem, the middle, the top, the last. Everything. The Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, and the 39 books and the 27 books. That's the truth. So, see? So if you said, no, the New Testament is important than the Old now. So now, partial truth na lang yan. Di ba? Cyclic block logic. Lahat ng katotohanan nandun lang sa loob ng circle. I-interrelated to each other. Pero yung Greek, linear. Hindi, isang katotohanan, paputungo sa isa, kailangan dire-diretso na. At hindi na siya bumalik. This is the foundation of what you call systematic theology. Systematize. Sino ang gumawa? Tao. Hindi gano'n ang mga Hebrew. The Bible never argues the existence of God. It assumes and states the existence of God. The Jew is far more interested in experiencing truth than he is explaining the truth. Think about this, Bible. Anong silbi ng katotohanan kung hindi mo naman siya ginawa? Pati wala. Nakita mo yung reality? Sino yung nasa reality? Halimbawa, simple na lang. Observance of the Shabbat. Every Christian would know that that is one of the 10 commandments. And yet, most Christians, for 13 years, I was in a Pentecostal church. I never experienced Shabbat. But I was a very good Christian person. I go to church, I give my tithes, I'm loyal to the church. Whatever a pastor says, I will obey. And I never experienced the Shabbat on what I experienced Sabbath in Israel. God, I went to Israel in 2006 and I was there for the first time. And my first Shabbat, I was shocked. Sabi ko, wow, lahat sarado. Walang store, walang sasakyan, no public transportation, no bus station, not everything ceased, everything, mall, sarado lahat. Walang McDonald's, everything shuts down, totally. May experience mo talaga. Ang nakita ko lang, mga pusa na naglalakad sa karsada. Kung meron mang makita mong tao sa karsada, nagbibisikleta, walang nagmumotor. The people of Israel understood what Sabbath is. To cease from your labor. And it's not a person, individual, it's the whole country. Sabi ko, ganito pala ang Sabbath. So I was exposed to this culture in Israel than our culture in the Philippines. Sa Pilipinas, traffic ba pag Sabat? Heavy traffic! Kasi ang Pilipino ay galing ang pananampalataya sa West. Okay? Napag-usapan na rin natin yan. Tingnan natin ano ang latest kay okay.
El séptimo día descansó, lo que los judíos tienen, ¿no es cierto?, los observantes, como sagrado cumplir el Shabbat. El sábado se descansa, un día a la semana, al menos eso, para la gratuidad.
Yeah. Kailangan mag-capture natin sa OBS. At ano ba to? Window output ba to? Window capture. Window capture 5. Okay. Back. Ayun. Okay, play.
El séptimo día descansó, lo que los judíos tienen, ¿no es cierto?, los observantes, como sagrado cumplir el Shabbat. El sábado se descansa, un día a la semana, al menos eso, para la gratuidad, para dar culto a Dios, para estar con la familia, para jugar, para hacer todas esas cosas. No somos máquinas que viven con el acelerador puesto desde la mañana hasta la noche. Y eso arruina la salud mental, la salud espiritual y la salud física. Más aún, arruina y destruye la familia y por lo tanto la sociedad.
Ano sabi niya?
Último día de
On the
descanso,
7th day rest.
lo que los judíos tienen, ¿no es cierto?, los observantes.
So he's actually agreeing with the Sabbath, di ba?
Bakit niya ngayon sinabi?
Ewan ko, ba't niya pinaliwanag? Nakuha na, pinasa lang sa akin yan eh. So, that means mga kapatid, Hebraic mindset, you experience truth. You just don't talk about truth. Experience mo. Ano yung truth? Lahat sa Biblia, lahat ng sinabi ng Diyos, truth. Lahat ng dinagdag ng tao, hindi yung truth. See? Kaya, pag Hebraic mindset ka na, sensitibo ka na sa mga opinion ng mga theologian, opinion mo lang yan eh. Diba? I want the real truth. So much to that. To the Jew, God is not primarily a being to be understood theologically or philosophically. He is to be known experientially and functionally. So, in fact, the language of the Bible, which is called anthropomorphism, is God is directly involved in the affairs of this world. Nakita mo? The Bible is full of realities. Ano yung realities na yun? Mga taong imperfecto na makasalanan, pero may relasyon sila sa Diyos, and God continues to reveal Himself to them, and they continue to growing and maturing and learning and walking. Di ba? That's reality. You did not become excellently holy in one day, di ba? So I did not expect everybody to have the knowledge the same as me, the Hebraic mindset. Diba? So I don't expect anybody in our community to be perfect. In fact, the reality is, most of us are not. And most of us commit mistakes. Little mistakes, medium mistakes, and big mistakes. So, major problem, general problem, little problem. Everybody is a problem. Di ba? Kaya minsan, halimbawa, I realize this mga kapatid, even sa the way yung mga personality dito sa ating community, sabi ko ito si sister, ibang personality nito. Pero that's the way she is. Talagang makulit siya, makomentary, pero you cannot avoid, kapatid mo yan eh. You have to learn, you have to Hebraic, attention, you have to accept a different personality that everyone has.
Kahit ayaw mo.
Di ba? Kahit ayaw mo. Minsan. Di ba? Hebraic, tension, di ba? Pero, everybody is part of the community. The more, the merrier. Di ba? Hindi pwede, dahil iba ka, ihiwalay kita doon. Iba yon, exile ang tawag doon. Excommunication yon pag may ginawang kasalanan yun. Iba yun. Pero yung faithful naman sa Shabbat, faithful naman sa gawain, faithful sa everything. Iba lang talaga yung asta. You have to accept that. Yeah. Most of the time, mga babae ang complicated eh. Hindi yung mga lalaki eh. Lahat ng babae masabing amen. Wala nang sabing amen. Complicated kayo. Ang dami yung requirements. Hindi, ma-perfectionist ang babae. Pero, minsan wala sa lugar. So, unlike Western thinking, see nyo, yung Hebraic mindset is actually functional, experiential ang importante sa ganyan. They're not concerned with theoretical arguments and philosophical reasoning or apologetic defenses of the nature and existence of God. Bawa, nakita mo ba nagdebate yung mga Hebrew tungkol sa Godhead? In fact, most Christian religion, yun ang pang dinagdidebatehan. Lalo na yung pinanggalingan ko, oneness. Ang unang tanong agad, ang Diyos ba dyan iisa? Turay. Pero, depende sa iyong pananaw kung anong ibig sabihin ng isa. Diba? Kasi the word isa in Hebrew is ekad. Okay, can you say ekad? Ekad means compound unity. Yung nag-iisa, ang ibig sabihin ng yakid. The only one. So, Shema Israel, Adonai Elohim, Adonai, ekad ang ginamit, hindi sinabing yakid. So, ibig sabihin, God is by nature a compound unity. Ibig sabihin, He has many manifestations. And one of them is Yeshua, who was God in the flesh. Sa Hebraic mind, sa Greek mindset, ang hirap i-reconcile yun. Kaya nga may reliyon na Iglesia ni Cristo. Paano naging Diyos si Cristo? May Diyos bang nagre-reklamo? Di ba? My God, bakit mo ako pinabayaan? Di tao to. Hindi nila alam. Nung sinabi ni Yeshua, nakapako sa cross, My God, why have you forsaken me? As a rabbi, he was teaching a midrashic way of teaching. He was quoting the book of Psalms, chapter 22. The first verse of that chapter says, my God, why are you forsaking me? He's actually telling, he was doing a Bible study while on the cross. Can you look at Psalms 22, please? See how this prophecy is fulfilled?
Can you read it?
Can you read this, the whole chapter, please?
Pastor siya, ganun yung sabihin niya.
Sa Iglesia ni Cristo, nagreklamo. Kasi hindi niya alam ano nangyayari doon. See? So, just one of the examples lang, no? So, God is first of all a person to be experienced, not a theological or philosophical concept to be understood. Okay, let's say the word, okay, if you look at the Bible school curriculum, Theology 101, 102, Theology 103, 104, 105, diba kung may Theology 110. Well, last week, Professor Alvin gave a lecture on the kingdom, diba? The four components of the kingdom. The Bible is about a kingdom. It's not about a religion or a church, but there are four components of the kingdom: the king, the territory, the subject, and the laws of the kingdom. That's basically the four major components of a kingdom. So, a king, okay, King Yeshua, he was the king of the Jew, di ba? The King Yahweh is the king of the universe. That's why the Jew would always pray, blessed are you, Lord God, King of the universe. Adonai, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. The Jew would always pray that. He was, in the prayer, the Jewish prayer, he was always addressed as the king of the universe. Okay. In the Jewish mindset, the king is to be obeyed. So Greek mindset, God is, you can learn God through theology. And if we are convinced with your theology, you can serve God later. What if you go to God, I will study in the Bible school for 1 year. If I'm convinced, I will return and see if I will obey you or not. But sa harap ng hari, ano kaya ang sasabihin ng hari sa tao yun? Ano, pag-aralan mo muna ako, pag kumbinsido ka na, tsaka ka mag-obey. Nakita mo yung academic mindset ng Greek? Kaya pala, no wonder, so many pastors, aral ng aral, they never came to the real obedience to the commandments. Because their mindset were all Greek. Academic, parang philosophic, puro knowledge. Knowledge is useless if you don't apply it. So, sa mindset ng, sa hebraic mindset, mga kapatid, pag may alam kang truth, which is in the form of the mitzvot, gawin mo agad. Hindi mo na hintayin pag-kondisyon na ako, tsaka ako mag-obey. Karamihan kasi ganun, di ba? Siguro mga sa isang taon, tsaka ako mag-Shabbat. Mag-Erev Shabbat muna ako. Pag sanay na ako, tsaka na ako mag-Day Shabbat. Ganun na nangyari, di ba? So, nakita niyo po, by default, the nature things of the world, the natural things are Greek. So I'm not saying Greek is evil. I'm saying Greek is a worldly view. It's a worldly view. It's humanistic. Humanistic, parang makatao, makasarili. Ikaw ang nasusunod. Hindi talaga ang Diyos. Sa Hebraic, bakit tinawag si Abraham father of faith? Kasi sinabi niya sa Genesis 17 at saka Genesis 26. Because Abraham obeyed my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah, and he will teach his children to walk after me, to obey me. So the first father of faith was not a theologian. A Jewish thinker who just obey God, obey, even if he asks his only son. So, you want to be a theologian or a hebraic person? Kasi kung theologian ka, pagka-graduate mo, tsaka ka lang magiging pastor, professional. Sa hebraic, nag-aaral ka pa lang, ina-apply mo na yung skills mo. Di ba? Nakita niyo mo yung practicality ng mga Hebrew?
License to preach.
Yeah.
License to preach.
License to exhort.
That's why it's impossible to develop a systematic theology for biblical writers. Jewish writers were writing to challenge, challenging the people to obey the truth rather than to understand the truth. Knowing that you only truly understand a truth when you apply it. See? Self-explanatory. The Hebrew concept of knowing, that's why in Hebrew, the language is verb-oriented, not noun-oriented. The Hebrew sentence would begin with the verb. Ang ina-emphasize sa Hebrew language is the action. Nahuhuli yung noun. Sa English,
No.
nauna yung noun. Tingnan mo. In the beginning, God created. Translation sa English yan, ha? Pero hindi yan literal translation sa Hebrew. In Hebrew, you say, Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, created God. Nauna yung verb. Action ang in-emphasize. The noun is the receiver of the action. So, the Hebraic mindset is concerned about your action. It's not what you think, it's what you do. Tell me what you do, and I will tell you who you are. Kaya you have a lawyer who is an expert in law, di ba? Who is a political leader in his town, but he's also corrupt at the same time. Bakit? Alam niyang batas, pero ginagamit niya sa kasamaan. In Hebrew, hindi pwede yun. Nakita mo? To believe, again, I think I already explained this. I think we have to end 5 minutes. I explained this last time. The word to believe is the word faith, di ba? Emuna. Emuna means to believe with your action. The Greek word for faith is pistis. Pistis ka. It's a bad word in Bisaya. It means to believe with your mind. Pisti kang bataa ka. Ibig sabihin, faith cometh by hearing. And hearing, look, sa Hebrew, to hear is shema. In Hebrew, to hear is to obey. Ibig sabihin, nakinig ka ba talaga sa Diyos? Ang totoong nakinig, nag-obey. Pero yung hindi nag-obey, hindi talaga nakinig. Kaya pala sa church, pwedeng present ka palagi sa church, pero they never learn to obey the Torah. You never learn to keep the Sabbath, to feast the dietary law, kasi it's a mental belief. Basta mag-amen ka lang na mag-amen palagi kay pastor. Good Christian ka na. Member ka na nila. Mga kapatid, pwede ka maging Hebrew, nag-iisa ka lang sa bundok. Huwag mo naman gawin yun, baka mag-bumbong ka na. Pero pwede kang mag-iisa, pero nag-worship ka ng malalim sa Panginoon. Di ba? Pwede kang mag-iisa, pero nag-obey ka sa commandments sa Panginoon. Paano kung na-stranded ka sa isang isla? Di ba? Wala nang ibang nag-preach. Kaya may kwento yan eh. Na-stranded yung isang tao sa isla. So, tinignan sa GPS. Nalocate na siya after 2 years. Nalocate na si Kapitan. Nung lumubog yung barko, nandun pala sa isla. Sa isla, may dalawa lang bahay. So, in-interview yung Kapitan. Bakit dalawang bahay lang sa isla? Meron kasi kami isang church, nag-split, kaya dalawa lang. Ibig sabihin, hindi nagkaintindihan, nagkaroon ng mga bagong church. Kasi, walang tension mindset eh. Kailangan maging pareho tayo, Brad. Kasi kung hindi tayo pareho, hindi tayo magkapatid. Kailangan maging pareho ba lahat? Hindi. Sa hebraic, di ba? Hindi lahat pareho. Di ba? Iba-iba tayong personality, iba-ibang mga weakness, iba-iba. Pero, we are one in God's eyes community. Di ba? Each one complements the other. It's not individual. Diversity. It's, you know what you call that? University. Unity in diversity. Ganda ng ending, no? University. Praise Adonai. For, actually, this is just an introduction to historical theology and yung pinaka-topic natin, law and grace. So I think we will continue downstairs with the 5 views of the law. Kasi our topic talaga is law and grace, di ba? So I will discuss the 5 view on God's law. The Reformers view, the theonomy view, the dispensational view, the principle view, and the hebraic view. These are the point view ng law sa Christians. Tingnan natin anong pagkakaiba nila at sino yung eksakto, sino yung malayo sa katotohanan, sino yung malapit, at sino naman yung perfect. Okay. So we will discuss at least ibang recorded session yun today. So thank you so much for watching. In case you want to learn more about our highest hope, you can study. Ano ba to? Ibalik sa dating view. Ayun. Punta tayo sa... Okay, you can text me at 0931-107-4271. Okay, we are located at 613 Mitzvah Drive. Hindi street, bawal ang street pag hindi ka na-raise, so drive lang. Mitzvah Drive, Sitio Binayoyo, Barangay San Jose, Antipolo City. So, this is our introductory class, and I think this will go through the whole year. I'm serious about doing this the whole year round. Wala na, hindi na to hihinto. Rain or shine, some of our brethren from America, South Africa, Australia are coming over to help me with teaching. So they're coming in the next few months para hindi naman ako mag-drain at si Brother Alvin. Tsaka, mas exciting, di ba? Iba-ibang mga teacher. Prophecy, may expert kami, si Joseph Dumo. So, iba-ibang perspective. Pero, we're all the same brethren, Torah people. So that's it for today. If you want the resources, if you want to know about our resources, you can download this book, Our Father Abraham, The Jewish Roots of Our Christian Faith. It's a classic book by Marvin Wilson, and Understanding Our Hebrew Roots by J.D. Williams. You can download this at pdfdrive.com. Or for our hermeneutics class, you can download, I think this is, you can look at this material, Hermeneutics by Rabbi Tim Hegg at TorahResource.com. So if you want further studies. Or I can upload this in our group chats later. No? Even my PowerPoints, I can give this away. These are truths that we have to disseminate. I can give this for free lahat. Hebraic tayo eh. Hindi tayo parang exclusive eh. Truth is for everyone. It's not exclusive. It's for everyone. So, thank you so much. So, wish to talk to you sa aming group chat na lang sa ISO, the foundation class sa Facebook. Shalom. Yahweh bless you.
By the way, any